My name is Bryn Carter, and I'm 32 years old. When someone decides to humiliate you in public, they always think you'll argue. They count on noise, on emotion, on the scene. What they never expect is silence. We were sitting in a steakhouse, the one with the wine wall and waiters who glide instead of walk. I'd just been promoted to senior project manager, the kind of title that finally makes your parents proud. I booked the dinner to celebrate us. Nathan scanned the wine list, smirking. Why are we looking at the cheap section? You make good money now. I'm the prize here. You should feel lucky I'm even with you. The waiter froze mid-pour. The entire sentence landed like a slap you're not allowed to react to. I set down my menu carefully. What did you just say? He laughed, condescending. Oh, come on, Bryn. Look at me and look at you. I could have anyone. For context, Nathan was handsome in a curated way. Expensive haircut, tailored shirts, a smile trained by mirrors. He worked in branding, which I later realized meant selling personality without proof. I stared at him until his confidence began to sweat. Then I smiled, the smallest, cleanest smile I'd ever made. You're right, I said softly. You are the prize. He leaned back smug. Exactly. So I'm cashing out. His grin faltered. What? Check, please, I told the waiter. Just my drink. And I left. He texted before I even reached the parking garage. Nathan. Bryn, where did you go? Nathan. This isn't funny. Nathan. You can't just leave me here. I didn't answer. By the time I got home, the quiet felt alive, like a room finally exhaling. We'd been together 18 months, long enough for patterns to calcify. His jokes about my outfits being too plain, his lectures on what real women post online, the way he'd make me pay half the check but call himself generous. I sat on the couch, shoes still on, and opened my laptop. Step 1. Call locksmith. $280. Step 2. Pack everything he'd left here. His cufflinks, his overpriced moisturizer, the hoodie I'd stopped wearing because it smelled like compromise. Step 3. Mute, not block. Muting makes them scream into the void, thinking you still might answer. By midnight, it was done. My apartment looked the way it had before him. Simple, breathable. The next morning, the messages began. Nathan, are you seriously ghosting me over one comment? Nathan, I was joking. Nathan, you're so sensitive. Nathan, at least be mature and talk to me. By day 3, his tone turned acidic. I'm coming over. Your key doesn't work. WTF. I replied once. Your belongings are in a box outside. Please collect them by 6:00 p.m. or they go to building management. He showed up mid-afternoon, shouted through the doorbell camera that I was pathetic. I didn't respond. That night, I wrote in my notes app. He called me predictable. Maybe predictable women don't warn you when they're done. They just go quietly and stay gone. Saturday morning looked harmless. Blue sky, neighbor watering plants, a dog trotting past like a metronome. I set the box on my front step and wrote hail across the top in block letters. Inside, 2 shirts he forgot on purpose. A bottle of cologne that smelled like citrus and performance. A set of gold cufflinks he bragged were vintage. They weren't. And the hoodie I once stole and then unstole. At 10:07 a.m., the performance arrived. Nathan, sunglasses on, despite the shade, flanked by Talia, the new girlfriend, all gloss and angles, and Jason, his perpetually agreeable friend with gym-itchy shoulders. The trio paused like they expected applause. This is Talia, Nathan announced, like a red carpet host. She appreciates ambition. Great, I said. Your things are in the box. Talia folded her arms. You should be ashamed, ghosting a man after everything he's done for you. I tilted my head. Which everything? The lectures on my wardrobe or the bill splitting where I pay and he praises himself? Jason cleared his throat. We're here for closure. Closure is heavy, I said gently. Carry it somewhere else. Nathan's smile cracked. You owe me 3 months of severance, he said, producing his phone like a prop. For emotional labor and time invested. I laughed before I could stop myself. You sent me a Venmo request? He held the screen up. 3 to 847. Memo. Compensation for gifts plus emotional labor. That's adorable, I said. Here's mine. I'd prepared it last night because my pettiness, when justified, enjoys a spreadsheet. I scrolled and read, calm as a bank teller. Dinners I paid for when you forgot your wallet. $6,280. Your car insurance for 4 months between jobs. $1,200. Weekend in Miami you insisted on for content. $299. Designer loafers you said would open rooms. $540. Assorted grooming, haircuts, barber shaves you called production, $780. Subtotal, I finished, $11,700. I'll accept $7,553 as settlement after deducting your emotional labor. Jason blinked. Talia's glossy mouth parted. Nathan went red to his ears. You can't charge me for dates I let you pay for, he snapped. That's not how relationships work, Talia added. Agreed, I said. That's why this one ended. Nathan leaned in, voice dropping. My dad knows attorneys. Mine knows documentation, I said, and pointed to the box. Pick it up by noon or building management will. He grabbed the box, clipped Talia's shin with the corner, and stalked off. Jason followed, half carrying the performance down my steps. When the street was quiet again, I went inside, made tea, and let the adrenaline burn down to ash. By Monday, the performance moved online. Nathan posted a carousel, a moody black and white selfie captioned, "Financial abuse is real," a paragraph about controlling partners who weaponize money, and a picture of a credit card, my company's logo clumsily cropped but still visible. He tagged my firm. The comments arrived on cue. You're too good for her, King. She couldn't handle your standards. Know your worth. Then a new comment lit up the thread. Mrs. Reeves, owner of a bakery chain and my client of 5 years. Wild take. She revoked access to her business account. That's called compliance, not abuse. Within minutes, the post vanished. Screenshots did not. He tried again. 1-star reviews on Yelp and an industry portal, claiming I mixed romance with clients. Verification prompted receipts. None existed. Reviews disappeared within 48 hours, but I kept the PDF exports because I, too, appreciate content. Just the kind admissible in court. At noon, my HR pinged me. Hi, Bryn. Quick check. Someone called saying he's your husband and there's a family emergency. We see no spouse on file. We flagged the call. Are you safe? I stared at the message long enough for the screen to dim. Then I typed, safe. Document as potential harassment. Thanks. That evening, Beth, a mutual friend who always mistook drama for intimacy, texted, Nat says you humiliated him for sport. He's devastated. Be the bigger person and meet him. I didn't reply. A heart has only so much oxygen. I'd decided mine would go to organs that kept me standing. On Wednesday, my doorbell camera chirped. The footage showed Nathan on the stoop, explaining to a stranger that he lived here and lost his key. The stranger looked skeptical. Building security arrived, Mr. Rodriguez, slow but relentless. After 2 questions and a clipboard check, Nathan's story collapsed. He left with his dignity trailing like a torn tag. Thursday, I was mid-deadlift when I saw him at the gym front desk, pointing at me with a performance smile. I wiped down the bar, walked to the back exit, and left without a sound. My phone buzzed before I reached the curb. Nathan, real mature, running away like a child. I typed, then deleted a dozen replies. I settled on nothing. Sometimes silence is a mirror, and men like him hate what they see. Friday afternoon, a legal envelope appeared in my mailbox like a bad magic trick. Letterhead, Theodore Benson, Escuro. I would have taken it more seriously if the gavel in his logo wasn't clip art. The demands: transitional support for 3 months at $3,847 a month. Emotional distress, $10,000. A written apology. Restoration of his card access. I forwarded the letter to David Tran, my attorney. He called, laughing so hard he wheezed. He wants alimony for dating? He asked. Iconic. David's reply was lethal and polite. He cited the reversible nature of authorized user status, included Nathan's prize quote as context, and ended with, any further contact will be considered harassment. We are prepared to seek damages and fees. Copies went to Theodore's inbox and, because David knows theater, to Nathan's. Silence. Even the doorbell camera seemed to rest. That night, I made pasta, opened a cheap red wine, and pulled my notebook across the table. The page already had a title, Tuition. I added a line. Lesson 4. People who need audiences aren't looking for closure. They're looking for applause. I closed the notebook and washed the single pan I'd used. The house smelled like tomato and basil and a life that fit inside my own hands. At 11:18 p.m., my phone lit one more time. Nathan, you don't get to rewrite the story. Nathan, you'll regret this. Nathan, you're not even that pretty. I lowered my standards for you. I set the phone face down and let the words slide off the table like spilled salt. Somewhere he was yelling into a mirror. Somewhere Talia was learning the difference between a man with presence and a man who needs one. On the counter, the box lid from this morning leaned against the fruit bowl, Hail in thick black marker. All endings are labels, if you write them clearly enough. I turned off the lights and found my bed. The city hummed like a quiet engine. I lay on my side and counted breaths until sleep felt like a decision I was finally allowed to make. By week 3, Nathan's charm had curdled into desperation. When men like him lose control, they don't reflect. They escalate. Monday morning, I walked into my office to find an envelope waiting on my desk. The return address read, State Licensing Board. Inside was a formal complaint alleging financial coercion and professional misconduct. He'd actually filed it, claimed I'd used access to financial tools to manipulate a vulnerable partner. The investigator called later that afternoon. Ms. Carter, we're required to ask a few questions. Of course, I said, as calmly as I could. Would you like me to send the documentation first or after the summary? A pause. Then, let's hear the summary. I explained everything. The breakup, the card, the removal, his harassment. He wasn't a client. He was an authorized user on my business line, added temporarily. When he ended the relationship, I revoked access. The investigator sighed, audibly weary. So, he's upset you stopped letting him spend your money. That's the situation. Understood, he said. We'll close this as unfounded. When I hung up, I laughed. Not the bitter kind, but the kind that escapes before tears can decide whether they're next. By Wednesday, the story had moved to his next stage, humiliation. A friend sent me a screenshot. Nathan had posted an open letter to men abused by their exes on Facebook. He described me as a controlling accountant who weaponized money. He even used phrases like trauma bonding and gaslighting, as if hashtags could rewrite memory. The comments weren't what he expected. Someone from his old job wrote, "Didn't you get fired for using the company card for personal travel?" Another commented, "Weaponized money? My guy, you lived off her for months." By noon, the post was gone. Friday brought a new envelope. Thick, cheap paper, embossed logo, crooked. Theodore Benson, Esker again. I almost admired the persistence. He'd refiled his demands, this time with a more dramatic flair. Our client seeks reparation for emotional damage sustained by abrupt termination of relational support and reputational loss. I handed it to David Tran, who skimmed, chuckled, and dropped it in the shred bin. He's trying to turn heartbreak into a payroll dispute. That night, I made a note in my tuition journal. Lesson 7. A narcissist without resources becomes a playwright. Their tragedies always end the same way. Everyone leaves before intermission. Then came the live stream. Saturday morning, my phone buzzed with messages. You have to see this. I opened the link. There he was, Nathan, on the curb outside his apartment, phone angled just right, voice trembling with performance. They're taking my car because my ex sabotaged me, he told his followers. This is what happens when you trust the wrong woman. Behind him, a tow truck driver shook his head. Sir, you haven't made a payment in 3 months. Nathan spun toward the camera. Do you hear that? 3 months. You think I could pay when she... The driver interrupted. Sir, please step away from the vehicle. The comments section didn't offer sympathy, just popcorn emojis, laughing faces, someone posting, Bro, pay your bills. I closed the app and set my phone face down. For a moment, I felt sorry for him. Not the man, but the collapse. The part of him that had believed charisma could pay rent. That evening, his mother called again. Donna Hale. Her voice was softer this time. Bryn, he's moving back home, she said. He's devastated. I'm sorry to hear that, I replied. You're not sorry, she snapped. You ruined him. No, I said gently. I just stopped sponsoring him. She was silent for a beat. You women think independence is power. But men like Nathan, they need nurturing. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Then he's lucky to have you. Click, end call. Sunday morning, I woke to quiet sunlight and a kitchen that smelled like peace. For the first time in months, I made pancakes for one and didn't feel lonely. I checked my phone once. No texts, no tags, no new reviews. Just silence. The rare kind that means a storm has finally realized it can't find you anymore. That night, I wrote one last line in my notebook. Lesson 8. Survival doesn't always look like revenge. Sometimes it's just not answering the door. By week 4, the silence broke, but not the way I expected. It was Thursday, nearly midnight. The doorbell camera chimed once, then again. When I opened the app, the feed showed Nathan, swaying slightly, lit by the pale glow of the hallway light. His hair was mussed. The confidence had leaked out of him like air from a slow tire. He leaned toward the lens. "Bryn," he slurred, "I know you're watching. You always check this stupid camera." He wasn't wrong. "I'm sorry, okay? I shouldn't have said you were lucky. You're not that bad looking. I lowered my standards for you because I saw potential." Behind him, someone off-screen, probably Talia, called, "Nathan, come on!" He waved her off. "No, she needs to hear this. Bryn, you ruined my life. You took everything. I thought you were boring, but you're cruel. You were supposed to be the safe choice." Then he laughed, a harsh, hollow sound. "You'll regret this." I watched in silence. I didn't speak. I didn't open the door. I didn't even blink until he stumbled away, Talia half dragging him down the hall. The next morning, my phone rang. Caller ID, Donna Hale. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello? Bryn," she began, her tone crisp and parental. "I heard what happened last night. Nathan said you refused to let him in, even though he was apologizing." "He was drunk," I said. "He's hurting, and you're just sitting there, heartless. Do you know how many women would kill for a man like him?" "Then they're welcome to him," I said calmly. "You'll regret this," she snapped. "I've been told that a lot," I said. "Still waiting." She hung up. Saturday afternoon, I walked into Eli's coffee house, the small place I'd gone to every weekend for years. I'd just ordered when a familiar perfume reached me before the voice did. "Bryn, funny running into you." Natalie, his ever-loyal friend, stood behind me in line. She gave me a smile meant to sting. "You really did a number on him. He's a mess." I turned, stirring sugar into my cup. "I'm sure he'll recover." She leaned in. "You made him believe he wasn't enough. That's cruel, you know." I met her eyes. "No, I made him believe I was done." Her smile faltered, and for a second the act slipped. Then she shrugged. "You'll be alone forever with that attitude." I lifted my cup. "Then I'll finally get a turn to talk uninterrupted." That night, I was at a mutual friend's birthday, Kevin, who insisted I come. "He might be there," he warned, "but you shouldn't miss your own life because of him." So I went. The music was low, the laughter too polite, and then I saw him. Nathan, across the room, his hand resting on Talia's lower back like ownership. He saw me, smiled too wide, and whispered something to her. They began a little performance, feeding each other cake, loud laughter, the kind of PDA that smells like insecurity. I ignored it. I talked to Kevin about work, about travel, about literally anything that wasn't him. Half an hour later, he cornered me near the exit. "So," he said, arms folded, "you can show up here but ignore my calls?" "I'm here for Kevin," I said, "not you." He smirked. "You look tired. Already letting yourself go?" "Lost 15 pounds," I said. "Peace is great cardio." His jaw tightened. "Talia treats me like a king. She knows my worth." "Good for her." "Don't you have anything to say?" he demanded. "Actually, yes," I said. "Thank you." He blinked. "For what?" "For telling me you were the prize. You were right. You helped me stop playing." He scoffed, recovering his posture. "You'll come crawling back. They all do." I tilted my head. "Who's they, Nathan? The trail of exes who used you until the money ran out? The ones who turned out toxic when they stopped paying for dinner? I hope you find a new audience. You'll need one." Talia appeared behind him, frowning. "What's going on?" "Nothing," I said. "He's just performing an encore." And then I left. I didn't look back, didn't check if he called after me. The applause in his world had finally gone silent, and I wasn't about to start clapping again. That night, I did what he could never do. I blocked him, not out of anger, not even for safety, just completion. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation, it's a click. 3 weeks later, a message popped up from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. "Hey, Bryn, it's Nathan. I saw you at Kevin's party. You looked good. I've been thinking, maybe we could talk, for closure." I didn't answer. Not because I was angry, because I was finished. Silence isn't revenge, it's reclamation. A few hours later, my friend Derek texted me a screenshot. Nathan had posted a status. "Some women don't appreciate effort. You give them everything, and they still make you the villain." The comments were predictable, half sympathy, half gossip. One caught my eye. "Didn't you call her boring and try to Venmo her for emotional labor?" He deleted the post within the hour. A few days after that, I was at the grocery store when I ran into Talia, the new girlfriend, or apparently the former one. She looked exhausted. Same perfect makeup, but eyes hollow. She hesitated before speaking. "You're Bryn, right?" I nodded. She exhaled. I thought you were exaggerating. About him. I never said a word. Her eyes flickered, ashamed, maybe grateful. He asked me to co-sign a car lease. Said successful couples invest together. And? I said no. He called me ungrateful. She shook her head. I'm done. I gave a small, sad smile. You'll recover faster than he will. As she walked away, I realized that pity feels lighter than hatred. 2 months passed. The email slowed. My phone stopped buzzing. My apartment stayed quiet in a way that felt deliberate, peaceful, not empty. I started sleeping better, cooking again, painting on weekends. The color came back to my walls before it returned to my face. Then one afternoon, Mrs. Reeves, the bakery owner who'd defended me online, called. You're not going to believe this, she said, half laughing. Your ex applied for a job at my main store, social media manager. You're kidding. His resume says he successfully managed high-value influencer accounts and has extensive experience in financial oversight. I Googled him, found the old posts he made about you, including the ones where he admitted using your business credit card for personal expenses. So, we're not calling him back. I laughed softly. Good call. She chuckled. Oh, and for what it's worth, you were right to let him go. He's not a prize. He's a liability. A week later, I met someone. His name was Evan, a nurse who thought the most romantic thing in the world was showing up when you said you would. Our first Friday night together wasn't champagne or rooftop dinners. It was takeout and bad movies. Halfway through, he looked over and said, You're really calm, like nothing phases you. I smiled. That's what people call boring. He laughed. Then boring's underrated. We clinked paper cups of soda. I didn't tell him it was the first toast I'd enjoyed in a long time. That December, I got a small envelope in the mail. The handwriting was shaky, but familiar. Dear Bryn, I wanted to apologize for what I said. You were right. Nathan needed to learn. Thank you for showing him that actions have consequences. Sincerely, Donna Hale. I placed the card in a drawer, threw away the envelope. Some things don't need display space, they just need closure. On New Year's Eve, I sat by my window watching fireworks bloom in the distance. The city sounded like applause, muffled by glass. I opened my tuition journal one last time. Lesson 10. Prizes sit on shelves, collecting dust and praise. Builders build lives. Then, beneath it, he said I was predictable. He was right. Predictability built my career, my peace, my freedom. I poured a glass of cheap Prosecco, smiled to myself, and whispered the line that finally felt true. He was right about one thing. I am lucky, just not in the way he meant.